Alright, for one of the final videos of Woodwind methods and on saxophone for me, I'm going to be scaffolding today 3 selections from our packet. The first one I'm going to do is Good King Wenceslas, or Wenceslas, however you want to say it. Most people can't say it. So the scaffolding behind this one, since this piece is all quarter notes and half notes without any really rest, that makes it a little easier for the scaffolding process. So first thing I would do instantly, or always I'm going to do, especially with beginners, is go over the fingerings for each note. So I'll have them sing on a neutral syllable like da. So then we would just finger through 26 slowly, and so I would make sure we all start correctly. I'm starting with my C, so I'm gonna do it slowly, and I'm going to adjust this to where we can see what's going on here. Okay, so 1, 2, ready, D D D D D D D. D D D D D D D D D D D D D. A couple of things that I would mention with this in the scaffolding process is I would have them, for saxophone at least, well, for most of them, there's at least one difficult transition in there. So I would back and forth have them go for sax is going from the C to the D and getting the octave key. That is difficult. So I would do that with them, and then we would take it 2 bars at a time. This is assuming, let's say we're, I don't know, first semester new students. I'm not gonna assume we're too far out. So I'm gonna play the first 2 bars at the tempo I would with the kids. And then while they're playing, I'm going to be walking around and checking for the fingers being rounded and on the keys. I don't want to see any pinkies flying or any hands going flat. The next step would be to have them play it, without me, have them play it slowly, and then I'd be able to give some comments back. This one's pretty straightforward once we get started. Once again, I would mention the transition for the saxophones with the C to the D. Kind of get that going. Also make sure our fingers are moving quickly. We don't want any little glitzes or any grace notes like I just gave them when I just played a couple seconds ago. So the breaking down of the scaffolding would be, we would sing using a neutral syllable and finger it. And then second part of scaffolding is it would be based on them. I noticed where they have trouble with their fingering, so we would adjust that. And then the last part would be to get us to play. And then from then I could focus on, the articulation I'm hearing from them. Sorry, there's a gnat in here. The articulation I'm hearing from them, the quality of sound, and then we would address about blowing through the phrase and getting all the way to the end. Last thing I'll talk about before I play this and move on is that we do have breath marks at the end of the 2nd, 4th, and 6th measure, so making sure the kids understand to breathe there. And I'll play it for y'all real quick, then we'll move on to the next tune. Alright, so the next tune that we're going to be scaffolding today is Farm Out. So this one, for saxophones, is fairly simple because we are in the key of C. Nothing is flat or sharp, so that takes time out of that. For this one in particular, it's getting the intervals, the 4ths and 5ths going dee 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 da dee dee getting that in tune. And the right notes, that also helps too. So the scaffolding process would be similar to the previous one, where I would play it for them, or maybe half of them would play, half of them would finger, and depending on how the room was feeling, where we are in the lesson. There's a lot of factors that are part of this video, some things I can't control, but for this one, it's it's going to be getting the D's in tune on the saxophone and making sure the transition is smooth and easy. So for this one, I would have them, since there's not really any rest, we would do the neutral syllable singing again. I would ask them, as we're singing, to finger along with it. The next part in the scaffolding process is that we would do the intervals, and just to make sure we lock those in. So the first one is the C to the G. I have them play it slowly, just so they can hear kind of what they're going for before they just start going for it. And then the next big interval, it's mainly just C to G, but also it's being comfortable up where the D is. And then subsequently, the next new note in this is the E. So that would be something that I would talk about in the process. I would have them all show me the E. We play the E together. Like I said, as we're getting higher up in the timbre of the saxophone, that we keep a nice round open sound. Don't want anyone getting too aggressive with their sound. So the synopsis of the scaffolding would be to sing neutral syllable with the notes, fingering along. Then I would have them play it slowly. In the middle of that, or actually before that, I have them play the big interval, the C to a G, just so you could hear that. But here's Farm Out, and I'll be playing at the tempo, assuming this is the end of the, let's say, first semester, 6th grade. Alright, and the last etude that we're going to scaffold today is, I'll pull it up, Skip It Lou. What's interesting about this one is that there's a lot of thirds in it. So the first thing, after having the kids finger along with me, is that we would, like in the previous excerpt where we played the fifths, we play the thirds. And what's new about this in particular is that we're playing F sharp on the saxophone. So getting the kids, I would have them do a half step from G, which is 1, 2, 3, then add the second finger of the right hand just so they can hear that half step. Because that's new, in this packet, in the progression that we're in. So then I would have them play the thirds. So the first one is going to be B to G. Then G up to D. Then we have A to F sharp. Then we have A to C. Then from there it repeats itself through. So I'd play this one slowly because talking about the start of articulation, using D, 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 da, da, D, da, da, D, just to get them in the right frame of mind when it comes to articulations. Don't want any, tongue slapping or bite it up, none of that. So this one would be similar. We finger along, we play those thirds, and then we put together. There are rests at the end of the second and the 6th measure. So getting them to cut off right on 4. So here's Skip to my Lou, and then I'm going to kind of talk about everything at the very, very end. Okay, so in conclusion for this video, I've kind of noticed that once I get in front of the camera and it's just me talking to you, the camera, my details aren't as defined as they need to be. I feel like if I were to do this in front of a classroom, I would take a lot more steps because I could read what the students are understanding, make sure they're not just nodding their head because they want to. But yeah, I really feel like the scaffolding in this, could be as detailed as need be. Because some kids, depending where you are in your progression as the teacher, some kids just have to finger through it and they're good. Some kids need to sing the articulation to kind of get in the right frame of mind. And also, I really think it's important that they recognize these intervals and that I always bring them out to their attention. So that is it for this video. Thanks a lot.